Greetings, readers of Game Zone. My name is Tom Caswell. This is Tatiana Morris.
Howdy.
And today we're going to be talking about No Man's Sky. Comes out in a little over a week on August 9th. Now, Tatiana, I guess we could say lucky. One lucky gamer bought a copy of No Man's Sky early on eBay and played it and shared some of his thoughts and shared some gameplay. Let's talk about that real quick.
Well, he shared two videos. He shared one intro, like the opening sequences to the game, and then he shared actual gameplay footage. And I think that the footage was very telling. I don't want to spoil too much for the people who haven't watched it and are trying not to spoil it for themselves, but I will say that the gameplay was really telling, and it, at least to me, showed that like Sony did a huge disservice to the casual gaming community with this game and how they portrayed it. It almost made me feel like if you're a casual gamer, you saw the trailer, you're not getting the game you thought you were getting. It looks like they sell it like a AAA game, not a game that was developed by a studio that had at most, like 15 people on their roster, and maybe 8 programmers. So. And
how much did he pay for it again?
Like $12.40 or something like that.
That's not $12.40.
No, not $12. No, cheapest copy. Cheapest copy of No Man's Sky.
So do you think, now when you talk about, I haven't checked out the footage personally because I'm still very excited for the game and really want to, go into it as blindly as possible, despite the fact I've already seen so many E3 demos and PSX demos and stuff like that. Are you saying from like the actual gameplay that has been put out, like the visual fidelity is different from what Sony has shown before, or it's just like the presentation of something like the E3 demos feels different?
I think it's a mix of both.
Okay.
Looking at like some of the aliens and things like that, or creatures, whatever you want to call them, like platypus, triceratops things, they kind of like float a little bit above the ground as they're walking. Some movements can be a little bit janky or like glitchy where they don't know exactly which direction they're going in. Again though, this is all pre-release footage. It's not with the update applied as far as I know. So this is, they're gonna have a day one update and that could do a number of things. It could do so much, it could add so much. It's like the gameplay itself is one thing, or how it looks rather, the aesthetics is one thing, but the gameplay, what I could really compare it to is like leveling in World of Warcraft, or leveling your profession rather. So you have to grind it all out, and the game begins, like at least for your profession, the game begins when you are max level.
Right.
So you have to go and collect all of this stuff, like your first planet. You're gonna spend so much time on your first planet. And I feel like a casual player probably looked at this game and they're like, I'm gonna jump in a spaceship and I'm gonna play with my friends and I'm gonna explore space. I'm gonna sit on this planet and I'm gonna go like shoot this rock for 40 minutes and then, kind of go over there and shoot another rock and collect this herb and play with this creature, and oops, I used all the stuff that I collected and I'm gonna do it again because I need to do so much to be able to leave the planet. Before you can even leave it, you have so much grinding to do.
That's very worrisome for me, especially when you compare it to WoW, because I've never been able to get into a game like that. It's a big reason why I kind of also dropped the Division, because the real game started after you had completed or you got to level 30. So that is worrisome to hear. So it definitely sounds like expectations will not be met. Let's talk more about that, because obviously this game has been in development for so long, obviously because the team is really small, and it's really ambitious. Obviously everyone is comparing it to Spore, which came out in 2006, which was meant to be kind of No Man's Sky before No Man's Sky was a thing, and that obviously disappointed big time. Do you think we're looking at Spore level catastrophe, like this game doesn't have any legs, or there is hope, it's just going to take time, it's just going to take Sony and Hello Games to receive feedback and really work on it?
In my opinion, I think if you've been following the game, if you've been paying attention to the fact that it's like an indie game with AAA support, basically they gave them a budget, but it's still an indie game at its core. And if you go into the game with that full acknowledgement, if you've been following it, I think you're getting the game you thought you were getting. But I think if you're a casual player who's like, I saw bits and pieces of that and I want it and I pre-ordered it, it might not be the game you want, but I think in the future, they could add a lot. They could make this game like stay around for a long time. I mean, so long as it's not Spore Part 2, traveling space.
Yeah. Now, so you think if they are cultivating it over time and adding features and stuff like that, then this game will have legs. What kind of things are you hoping to see from the game that is going to make you stick around?
You know, the biggest complaint that I keep seeing on the internet is people being like, but I want to play with my friends. It's online, but I don't see anybody. Right. This is weird. It's a solo game in space. That sounds lonely. I think like a communal spot, like Destiny's Tower, where players can like transport themselves to and then see other people or share their location with other people, so it can be kind of like a hide and seek game. This is my location, come find me. I'm not there anymore, but I was there once, and people can get closer. I mean, what do you think? Like, what do you think they should add?
I completely agree. There are kind of, the objective of the game is supposedly to get to the center of the universe, which is just like the big glowing orb in the middle around where all the stars are based. And a lot of people are theorizing that is exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be like a communal hub, because like once we all get there, then we'll all be there. And so that could be interesting. It just depends on how long it takes. If that is the case, how long it actually does take to get to the center of the universe. That could be, something that, you do 20 hours of and you're able to get there. And then from there, that's really where it takes off and you can travel with friends and all that. But if there isn't anything like that, that would be a real shame. I know in a lot of interviews, because I looked into it in depth, because at no point do they keep telling it's online, other players are affecting these worlds. You're going to stumble onto a world that's been named, whatever, by another player, probably something very disgusting, if I know gamers. So it is being affected, but they've never really touched upon how we're going to interact with other people. And there was one interview I read where basically Murray said, you're just going to have to find them. Like, you're just going to have to stumble across them. And in theory, that sounds awesome. Because if my friend is playing and he's on a planet and I do make it there without any kind of like matchmaking or anything like that, that would be really cool. But if that never happens, which is likely because there's like 14 quintillion planets, then that would be a disappointment. So yeah, I think there's got to be at some point, whether it is built into the game already and we just don't know about it, or in the future, some kind of like matchmaking.
What are your expectations right now? Like, what do you think, knowing what you know about the game, what do you think you're going to get out of it gameplay-wise? Like, what kind of experience can you sit here and like say, this is what I think is going to happen, this is how the game's going to be?
Yeah, I've learned over the years to temper expectations and not have them too low or too high. I knew the game it looked gorgeous in that indie way. I think and I am that person who is in the know. I know that this is basically Sean Murray's vision, and he got a bunch of his friends to help him make it. This isn't something where it is hundreds of people, a team of like people, like, like someone that is making Assassin's Creed, that's 100, 200 people making a game like that. So I do have those notions, and I don't know, I'm also in like this weird phase where when I'm playing video games, I feel like I have to be doing something else at the same time. So if I can put on like music or like put on like a podcast or something like that and just like go around and collect stuff, I'm actually super down with that right now. Some other people may be looking for a more, a faster, more streamlined gameplay. I think for me personally, it's going to be exactly what I'm expecting. I just don't know if that means I'm going to play it for a long time or not. I really have no idea if it is going to hook me in that way. And I never really did. But again, I'm someone who's learned and been burned enough times before to know to not let that happen. And I know you're not. You're kind of on the more negative side of things.
I'm jaded. You know, working in the industry, writing for so long, you just become jaded. You deal with people on the internet, and they're usually jaded too, whether or not they are in real life. They're jaded on the internet. Right. So I think everything's gonna suck until it doesn't suck, just because that's me. But what do you think the review scores are gonna be? I say 7 and 8s.
Yeah. I think it'll fall there. I don't think the game is going to be bad in any way. I don't think we're going to be getting like 4s or 5s, but I don't think it is going to be 10s. We could be blissfully incorrect though, which would be great. Which would be really great if review scores come out and it is like, no, this is exactly what we were all hoping for.
Because if anything, we've only seen 25 minutes of beginning gameplay, unless, you know, somebody was given the opportunity to have all of your items ready and be able to fly around and stuff like that. All of our 25 minutes like looks at gameplay. I feel like that's not enough to really know what's going to happen with this game, because it's such a big game. It's so big.
A lot of sites also have like these review. I'm going to be curious to see if, because like IGN and like Polygon, they do like reviews in progress for a lot of games, especially if they have like a multiplayer component, because they wait until everyone has them. I'm curious as to if we're going to see that with the reviews, because like we said, it is kind of going to be having everyone playing it is going to change the game in some way. What level, we don't know. You know, like if reviewers get to that point where it is the center of the universe and it is some kind of social hub, but like no one's playing, then obviously that's going to change things. So that's also going to be interesting, is kind of finding out exactly how the game differs once everyone is playing it.
Well, I think that if people are going to review it, it should be a review in progress for, you know, you want to get a couple hours under your belt. You don't like go in and you're like, I played the game 2 hours. I know exactly what's happening. Right. And then I think a revisited review might be necessary for this game, especially if, you know, if it is a communal hub in the center of the galaxy where everybody comes together, or if
fingers crossed
we're all like in an atom and secretly it's Sean Murray's face.
We can only hope. Anything else you want to say about the game at the moment? I think we pretty much covered everything that needs to be said.
I think that Sony should have let us know in advance that it would be releasing 3 days later on the PC.
Anyway, so if you guys would like to read more about No Man's Sky, we have a ton of coverage on GameZone.com. Stay tuned to our website for more No Man's Sky news.